Hey guys, this is Kelly from Sevens Emporium, and today we're going to talk about Doodle Its. I've had a lot of people want to know what kind of fabrics or markers or stabilizer are best for the Doodle Its, so we're going to go over that and maybe kind of shed some light on this. When I do Doodle Its, and I don't actually have a finished Doodle It here, but when I do Doodle Its, I like to stitch them on this poly mesh or some other form of a light cutaway. When I first started doing Doodle Its, I said, hey, you can stitch these on tearaway, and I have since come to realize that maybe that wasn't the best suggestion, because you either end up spending a whole bunch of time trying to pick out the little pieces of stabilizer from the back of your Doodle It, or you'll end up leaving in the tearaway and then you wash it, and after you washed it several times, it gets kind of yucky in there. So I'm now firmly recommending that you use some sort of a lightweight cutaway, and like I said, mesh is my favorite. Because there are a lot of options here, I am going to talk to you a little bit about fabric choices and some other options that we have with these, and I've written all over this. It's kind of ugly, so don't judge me on my sewing skills, because I just kind of threw this together so that I could do the video. In this section here, and I tried to use different textures of fabrics as well as different blends of fabrics, because that's often a question that I'm asked. This section right here, this whole first section, this is a denim twill, and it's 70% cotton, 28% polyester, and 2% spandex. It's not really like a true cotton twill, which I think would maybe be a little bit better. It wouldn't stretch quite as much as this. This in the middle, this middle section here, is 100% cotton muslin. And this is my favorite because it is so smooth, and it just feels nice. It's really nice. Over here, I have knit. And I know a lot of people are actually using like a 100% cotton t-shirt knit. This one, for the sake of argument, is a 60-40, 60% cotton and 40% polyester blend, just so I can kind of show what a blend will do. And this won't obviously cover all of the fabric choices you could ever have, but it's going to cover a large percentage. You'll also notice that going this way, this top section right here, I have stabilized this, or not really stabilized, but sewn to the back. I put it down before I sewed this together. I put in a lightweight quilt batting, just, like you would normally find. I think you can buy it in a big roll like you would use for a quilt. I have put that in behind this section, and this section I didn't put anything behind it. I just left it, just stuffed it. There's nothing behind this section. And this section down here, I have used a white felt in place of the batting. So batting up here, nothing down here, felt down here. Just because people have said, well, how can I make this a little bit smoother, or how can I, what can I use instead of one thing or another? I know my tester Julie, who does all of my Doodle Its, she actually uses a knit, not this particular kind of knit, but she uses a knit and a quilt batting underneath hers when she stuffs hers. And I'm sure that she would want me to remind you, when you're doing your Doodle Its, please be sure that you're stuffing them full, because if you don't, then you kind of have a droopy Doodle It, and it's not very, very firm to color on, and it kind of disfigures the shape a little bit, and it kind of, looks like you kind of did it, but didn't really put full effort into it. So that's something she's always saying. Tell people that they need to stuff these Doodle Its until they're really firm, so that they're smooth, so they look nice. So that's a little bit about what fabrics I have going on here. Now I have drawn a whole bunch of lines on this because I'm going to test 4 different kinds of markers. People want to know if the markers bleed. They want to know how well they wash out. So I'm going to do a little bit of an experiment. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to color these, and then I'm going to cut the video and I'm going to go wash this. And then I'll bring it back and we'll have a look at it and see what washed out and what didn't. So the choices that we have for these, and if you watch the coloring page video, this might be a little bit familiar, but first of all, we're going to use the Crayola brand Ultra Clean Washable Marker. And I'm just going to kind of go through each of these and we're going to have a little look at how well this covers. Some people wanted to know if the batting made a difference with the coloring, whether it absorbed the color or if it made coloring easier. I don't know. I don't know what I would say about that. I'll have to do a little bit more coloring to find out. A lot of people want to know about red. I've heard a lot of people say everything washed out but the red. That's pretty nice to color on. So this is knit. That's pretty good. This didn't puddle. It didn't appear to bleed, which is that's a big question that I hear people ask. Do the markers bleed? So this one was the Crayola. We're gonna do the Crazy Art. And this fabric's moving around a little bit more than it normally would because there's no design on it kind of holding it in place. That looks pretty good. That didn't really bleed either. Pretty straight lines on this. Now I am also going to try these washable dry erase markers just because I'm a little bit curious what happens with these. I don't really know if they'll wash out of fabric or not, but that would be a good thing to know. So they don't appear to bleed either. They look pretty good. I am going to do this last one here. This is the Crazy Art Dry Erase. That's pretty good too. So all in all, on the knit, none of these markers bled at all that I can tell. I'll try to speed it up a little bit on these others. So this is the muslin section. Doesn't look like there's any bleeding there. And again, I'm coloring on each section just so I can see if there's a problem with the fabric holding on to that or not. I'm going to go ahead and jump over here since I have this marker in my hand and check out this denim twill. So no bleeding with this one either. I feel like this twill fabric kind of grabs the marker a little bit more as I'm coloring. I don't really like the feel of that as well. So we're going to do the Crazy Art right here. I think my personal choice for what I like to color on, like how it feels to color on this, is I really, really like that muslin. That feels the smoothest. I guess I would say maybe the most paper-like. If that's a thing you can say. Alright, we're going to hit the Crazy Art and the Crayola Dry Erase. Again, no bleeding with this. I'm kind of expecting at least one of them maybe to bleed a little bit, but so far, nothing like that has happened. Alright, so there we are. We have these things colored, and I am going to go wash this, and I will come back and shoot the second half of this video, and we'll see what washes out and what doesn't wash out. So stay tuned. Okay, so we're back after this is washed. I threw it in the washer, add some other things to wash. I think it washed on warm, it rinsed on cold. I don't think that really matters, but some people have asked if warm or cold is better. I am looking at this, and the one that washed out completely, I'm looking at the knit first. And remember, this was a 60-40 blend. Both of the regular markers washed out completely. The dry erase marker has left marks on this. So this one was the Crazy Art dry erase, and it left marks. It looks like on the knit that the Crayola dry erase actually came out. When we get down here to the muslin, you can see that once again the Crayola has washed out, the Crazy Art has completely washed out, but both of the dry erase markers, both the Crayola and the Crazy Art, have left marks on the fabric. When we get down here to, this was the denim twill, and it wasn't, keep in mind, it's not 100% cotton twill like a lot of times you will see. I tried to, just get a blend so I could see what different blends did as well. But once again, the Crayola has washed out completely. The Crazy Art left marks on this, as did, let me turn this around, as did both of the dry erase markers left marks on this. If I had to make a serious recommendation, I would definitely go with these Crayola Ultra Washable markers. They have worked the best, both in coloring and coming off, on all of the surfaces I have tested them on. They worked great on the knit, they've worked great on the muslin, they worked great on the denim twill, they worked fantastic on both the white vinyl and the clear vinyl coloring pages. They had a nice full color, they didn't bleed on the fabric, and they completely washed out. So if I had to pick one and I was going to package it and sell it with my products, I would definitely spring and get this, because your customers will have much better results with this. So that's what I have found out on these Doodle Its, and I hope that that helps you guys out and answers some of your questions. Thank you.